Right, I should be live. Let's just have a look, shall we? Oh, Chrome not responding. Oh, hello, Cloppite. How are you? First one tonight. That's great. We'll see you this afternoon. Ah, yes, here I am. I am live. Okay. How are you? First one tonight. Okay, I'll just share this around. I'll put it on Facebook. Oh no, I'm using. There we are. I'll put it on Twitter first. I'll tag UFO Twitter in it actually, because they might be interested in this. There we go. That's it. And Facebook. Hope you're all alright. Having a nice Sunday afternoon. Lazy Sunday afternoon. I've got no mind to worry. Close my eyes and drift away. I'll share that in the groups. I might as well share it in the groups on Facebook now. I think the Clockbite's here, but I mean more people will join now. It's on Facebook. I'll share it around the groups so to get plenty of people involved. There we go. Might as well do that now. Normally I used to share the recording, but now I'll share it now. That's on there. There. Not Roswell, yeah. They'll like this. And of course the recording will be available afterwards as well. Funny, if you know, my blog pages have all been banned from... They've all been banned from Facebook. I can't put my Hapamo blog pages on there. They're spamming and deceptive practices, apparently. Yes, I've been zucked. There we are. That's all my usual ones. But I hope you're... well, I've got 5 viewers. Hope you're doing all right. Just wait for a few more people to arrive now, which shouldn't take long. Now we're on there. Anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for the comments. I've had like 3 comments on the notice. No, it says 4 comments here, but I can only see 3. I don't know why there are 4. Oh, it's 4. Okay, here we go. Oh, Charles Unleashed said, "Those fucking balls." Oh, right. Ah, now I know what you're referring to. You're referring to Stephen Greer's. Yes. Be the Truth left me a love heart. Thanks, Be the Truth. Wayne RS4 said, "Nearly got me. I saw you need to pay it. Need to pay a bit. I was going to say fuck that, but fair play. You were joking. Looking forward to the live stream. Hey Wayne, I hope you can join us." And Steve071 says, £75. Greer can talk to the wall for all I care because I'm watching Ben the JR Porter for free. Yeah, so it's $75 US. I should correct, but that was my mistake, not yours, Steve. But honestly, it's still a lot of money, isn't it? It's slightly less. $75, but that's an awful lot, isn't it, for a live stream? Hello, Bumbelina. Hello, Tina Silver. David Schultz, greetings. How's it going? What's the weather like? Well, over here, David, it's actually a bit cold and wet for the time of year. But thanks for joining us. I hope the difference in time is not a problem. No One's Flower said, "Would you agree with me that the recent story of Chinese rocket debris coming down to Earth is really a cover for something else?" I don't know, No One's Flower. These things do happen, you know. It's pretty reckless though, and they just dump these rockets everywhere. It could be. It's giving the Space Force something to do, isn't it? Douglas Smith says, "Hello Ben, how's it hanging?" Oh, not as well as Stephen Greer. TK says, "You better watch out. You better take care. The aliens are coming to town." And on the subject, we have ET. Good evening, Ben. Hope you're well. I'm fine, thanks, ET. Hope you can phone home all right. Patrick Patel, hello. How are you? So thanks for joining me, guys. Much appreciated. I've got 15 views. It's going down to 14 now. I had loads, didn't I? Do you remember? Mr. Cudsey. Hello, hi Ben. Hope you're good. I'm well, thanks, Mr. Cudsey. I hope you are too. I don't know how many of you have had the chance to watch the... Well, firstly, this is kind of a follow-up to my last video, the Disclosure Project press conference 20 years on. But also, it's it's also like something I hope that you and I can. It gives you a chance to say your piece, what you think about the whole thing, because it's now been 20 years ago today. They did. It was 20 years ago today. Charles Unleashed said, "Greer's fucking balls." No. Oh, honestly, man. I mean, yeah, he's got. He likes to show them off, doesn't he? Yes. Oh, honestly, it's quite something. It's little Tesla. Hello, how are you? Hey up, mate. Yeah, there's videos he's done. I mean, the last one wasn't so bad. The Fifth Kind one, or the other, there's classified one. But I think it was the serious documentary. It was the whole thing was just like pictures of him in his tight jeans, And honestly, yeah, I mean, it can be quite. How should I put it? I mean, I'm straight as they come. You know what I mean? I'm 100% red-blooded, heterosexual male. But a chap like Greer, can turn a guy's head. I think that's the closest I came to getting on the turn, when I watched that film. Klopp like Greer is a narcissist. The thing about it is, though, see, if you said to him, Greer, you think you're a narcissist. A narcissist is someone who thinks they're God. His response would probably be, well, the thing is, what do you do if you are God? Hello, Shelley, how are you? You enjoy my hot takes, thanks very much. Or do you mean hot cakes? I've got some in the oven. That's not a misprint. Hello, Andrew Munchkin, how are you? Mindset Central. Gareth, how are you? Oh, we've just been talking, haven't we? Charles Unleashed says, Agent Rin will confirm Ben's libido. Oh, yes, she's reporting it, isn't she? Oh, yeah. Hi, Michael. How are you, Michael Snow? Dave 1. Hi, all. Takes. It is takes. No, you said that, Shelley. It's all right. I was making a joke. It's all right. So what did you think? Did you get a chance to watch... Hello, Carol Motzinger. No, Motzinger. Carol Motzinger. How do you do? I don't know how many you've got the chance to watch my previous video or watch the press conference itself. So I was wondering, what did you think of it? Because it seems it was 20 years now, and of course it was amazing to watch it because I did rewatch the recording one as research for my last videos, and I did like a dissection of it, as you know, and it was quite something. I mean, seeing those people there, the same people are still around, 20 years younger. Greer with sort of light brown hair. There was other people as well that of course, you still see around today. Larry Warren, of course, I got to know very well since then. Shelley says, cooking over here, so my text is wonky. All right, Shelley, are you watching me while you cook? All right. TK said it was amazing. It was quite something, wasn't it? It's just so... I mean, I wasn't into UFOs back then. Hi, Crafty Nihilist. How are you? Mark and Liz, how are you? I wasn't into UFOs really then, and I had a vague interest. I must have done because I got books from that era, but I wasn't really paying it much attention. I wish I had done. I mean, I did get into it a few years after that. I've probably been sort of hardcore into ufology for about 17 or 18 years, I'd say. But it must have seemed like the beginning of something amazing. It really must have done. Little Tesla says, I would like to have seen either Brian Rose or David Curtin get in. Yeah, as London Mayor. Yeah, either Lawrence Fox or Piers Corbyn would have been nice. But of course, the establishment, was always there with Sadgit Khan. Although Labour got a bloody good thrashing, didn't they, in the rest of the country? They really got knackered, really badly, and they deserve it. They bloody deserve it. TK said, I thought it was like proper disclosure time. I could really imagine, TK. I can really imagine being there at that time. And I know someone who was in that audience, a guy who goes to Probe. and thinking this is it. This is the end of the truth embargo. Here we are, 20 years later. We have made progress. Charles Unleashed said, what about Carol Rosin changing her story so much after the fact? I remember you gave me some details. I can't remember what they were. Something to do with knowing, what's his name? Werner von Braun. I'm glad you're all right, Crafty. You really are. It's Charles. It's been an age. Yeah. Charles Unleashed says, little Tesla is what Greer calls his backage. I don't know what that is. Sad git can't, says Michael Snow. Yeah. I'm really sort of like a... It'd be easy if you could look into the future, sitting in that audience, like my friend was. Looking into the future and thinking... And knowing that 20 years later we still have the truth embargo. Possibly just despairing. Possibly just thinking, oh, God, what's the... You know, being thinking, well, if this, what's happened now, doesn't have an effect, and 20 years later, then maybe there's just no point. Tanya Cummings, welcome. Hello all, 2 a.m. here, just trying to get back to sleep. Always nice to hear see Ben and hear his soothing voice. Well, Tanya, I'll try to lullaby you into slumber again. Now, I don't know if ever Steve Mumbling can join us, because one of the reasons I'm doing this slightly earlier is... because I was hoping Steve Mumbling would be on, but Steve, he's been a bit quiet lately, hasn't he? I don't know, he has. Dave says, sad git car for the next 3 years. Yeah. Hello, Pookie Dana. How are you? Tanya comes, I'm afraid yes, Sadiq Khan is still Mayor of London, and he seems to have some kind of super majority now. He can always, like, play the race card, and people will vote for him because for that reason. I did an article on her Panwo Voice about the whole thing, if you want to have a look at that. TK says, back then Gary Heseltine was doing his police database. Yeah, he's been doing this for a long time, hasn't he? Yeah, he has. I just interviewed Tony Buckingham, actually. I've recorded an interview for her Panwo Radio. And he was like... we were talking about this and saying how long has he been doing this. He's been doing this since the early 70s. He's really been a ufologist since then. Michael Brink, hello Michael, how are you? Disclosure will come in the form of a false flag alien attack. That's what concerns me, Michael. I'm glad you're here. I know Michael. I've met him. He was at the event in Denmark. Klopp, stop flirting with Ben. Klopp, says to Tanya. He's only got eyes for Greer. Oh dearie me, yeah. Just don't let me see him. Don't let me see him. I'll do a 180. I really will. Oh, Colin. Hey, Colin. How are you? Colin and I have just been talking with Gareth. Dave says, I wonder if he got postal votes. Ah, yes, the postal votes. We're not using Dominion voting machines yet, but I'm sure they're on the cards. Hello, the lights were low. Maybe. Oh, Steve has his vaccine, has he? He's had his vaccine. Well, that could explain it. Charles Unleashed says, Rosin now says he wasn't a personal friend. She never worked with him, and his last card statement was a deathbed confession hours before he died. So these stories have changed. Is that right, Charles? Well, there could be several reasons for that. I mean, it could be errors. I mean, I suppose what you're implying is that it's something she just made up. I think you put a comment on one of the last videos. So what I'll do is, Charles, I'll go into more details about that and the stuff to do with Travis Walton as well in the next comments reply video in a couple of weeks. But I appreciate your input on this. I really do. Michael Snow says, see the stabbings continue. Yeah, they got worse, haven't they? They really have got worse. The BBC put up like a list of people who've been killed by knife crime in the last year, and it was incredible. I think there was about 40 people. Zoad Earth, that's a great name. Yeah, Blue Wall, Colin and Matt, and I think everyone knows who you are, Colin, don't they? Gareth and I have just been recording the Mindset podcast. Now that will be out in the next couple of days. It'll actually be if you subscribe on Patreon, pay a few pence to Gareth, you can see it straight away. If not, it'll be out tomorrow sometime on for free. Michelle Sovereign, good to see you too. Thanks for joining me. E.T. says Heseltine has postponed Cable Green release to 2099. Oh dear. E.T. A lot of people. I get emails about this all the time. Cable Green. What's happened to Cable Green? Well, this is the movie. The movie industry actually is the movie industry. This does happen. There are delays. We're still waiting for the Avatar sequel, aren't we? But the film has not been cancelled. The film is an active project. The website's still there. The huge, literally, it's almost finished. I mean, they're not going to cancel it now. It's almost finished. But I think that the team, I think they want to do like a Dion, the director, and Gary and Tino, the team. They want to do like a big screen premiere of it, and you can't really do that under the lockdown. Mumbling is in bed, says Michael Snow. What time is it in Perth, Australia? Let's have a look. Let's go to World Clock, because he was complaining because it's 3 a.m. It's 7 p.m. my time. It's 3 a.m. his time. But you see, the thing about it is though, my clocks have changed. We're on British Summer Time now, which might have affected it. Let's have a look. Okay, find a city, Perth. I don't want personal data. Hang on, Perth. Oh, it's only 17 minutes past midnight. Come on, Steve, you great big lightweight. Come on, Steve, get online. Where is he? Dave, I mean, it's David Curtin. I mean, I think David Curtin or Lawrence Fox, Piers Corbyn, Brian Rose, they'd have been great mayors. Yeah. Project Bluebeam. Now, Sam says Project Bluebeam. Now, Michael Brink said earlier on that the most likely form of, and I've got to comment on this actually because I've said it before, but we got to be aware of this. Now, I'm not going to say get overly paranoid like some people do, but we've got to be on our guard because the most likely disclosure you're going to get, at least initially, will be fake disclosure. That's probably the most likely form you're going to get. It'll be, Michael says, the fake alien invasion. Well, you know, if there is the last card, it's not just going on what Carol Rosin said. There's many others. But you know, if you read Roswell Rising, a novel of disclosure by Ben Emily Jones, available at all good bookshops now. If you go into a bookshop and you don't see this on the shelf, it's not a good bookshop. Never shop there again. But if you read that book, this is something I deal with in this book: the possibility of a fake alien invasion, the possibility that if disclosures sort of come in and it's inevitable and this train is on full steam ahead, which it seems to be, that'd be one way of dealing with it. That'd be one way of keeping the New World Order going in the post-disclosure world, or not real disclosure world, would be to do that. Charles Onley says that Carol Rosin has changed her story significantly. Yeah, well, that's something I think I'll address in full actually on the next comments reply video, because you've made several comments along these lines. So was Steve Mumbling about certain people such as Carol Rosin, such as Travis Walton, etc. And I'll certainly go into that because you sent me some links which I've looked at. Richard Dolan as well was another. Yeah, Alan McVicker. Good evening. I'm sorry you got Saget Khan. I really am. You people in London. I'm really, it's a real shame. Charles says Bluebeam was taken from an unusual Gene Roddenberry script called The God Thing. Was that Star Trek? The God Thing. Was that Star Trek, Charles? TK says, how are any of the people who were part of the disclosure problems have a book out? You mean how many? There's a few. Some of them were out already. I mean, Larry Warren's book with Peter Robbins that he co-wrote with Peter Robbins, Left Eastgate, that was published in the 90s. Several other people have, but some of those people have died. Mark McCandlish died a few days, about 10 days ago, or 2 weeks ago. Mark McCandlish died. Others of them are no longer with us. Some are still here. Some are still doing their thing. Larry is still doing his. He's still doing his things, even though he's had to go through a lot of changes and setbacks. Danny Sheehan is still fighting the good fight in the legal system. Greer, of course, is still doing his Greer thing. Carol Rosin is... I've not seen her for a while, but she's very approachable, Carol. I mean, I had a Skype conversation with her. I just emailed her, and we ended up talking on Skype. She's very approachable if you want to talk to her. Michael Brink says the alien attack will come after a false flag meteor attack. You mentioned that 2025. You said, didn't you? You sent me a thing saying there'd be a false flag meteor attack in 2025. Now, meteor. Supposing if the secret space program is real, they would have the technology to take some lump of rock in space and aim it towards the Earth. Yeah. Shelley says, still trying to manage the fake virus invasion. Yeah, Shelley, that's actually... It's odd, isn't it? Because I made this point in my video about the Great Reopening. It's like a... It's very like... This seems like this is their response to 2016. This is the deep state. It's their 2016. It's their retaliation to 2016, and it's something far less... It's something far less out there, isn't it? It's something far less. It's something far more sort of staid and down to earth, and mundane. A little virus, but it's had what's it had? It's had a similar effect. It's had a similar effect to something a lot more dramatic, like a fake alien invasion. One of the first things they do if we had any kind of invasion, whether it's a foreign adversary in a wartime situation or aliens for space, there'd be a state of emergency. People would be forced to stay in their homes. There'd be hyper-regulation of the economy, all these other things which have been done with this virus. Number one fan says, hi Ben. Hi number one fan. David Shaw says, how can I get an autographed copy of your books? Well, David, if you email me, bennyj74@gmx.co.uk, I'll arrange that for you. Thank you very much. I'll sign them for you. They'll be worth a lot of money in a few years. And that's one good thing, right? When I started writing this, I didn't know what was going. I didn't know I was striking an iron that was hot. It was only I had no idea what was going to happen. But now I wrote some a very very good time because in a sense, the world is kind of ready for this kind of book, which is good, isn't it? Which is great. Which means. My book is probably doing better. I mean, I'm reasonably impressed. I'm reasonably pleased with the sales I've got. But I think I would have probably been... It'd been lower, I think, if it hadn't been for the 2017 thing. Sam Rowbottom, hello. The case I find intriguing is Billy Myers. I used to speak to Michel Horn. Do you know him, Ben? I know Billy Meyer. I've heard of Billy Meyer, definitely. Charles Scott, I think, was it was Adamski, wasn't it? Charles Scott was talking about, but Billy Myers, the guy with the beard, the Swiss guy. Yeah, Timothy Good talks a lot about him. Yeah. Charles says it was a scrapped Star Trek episode of a fake alien invasion using holograms called Bluebeam. Is that where the name comes from, Charles? That's interesting, isn't it? It could be that they've it could be that somebody's copied that story. I mean, I don't know if does the script and production design still survive. So do we know what it's like? But it could be. Obviously, if it's taken on the name of an episode, doesn't necessarily mean that it's unreal. I mean, the Space Defense Initiative was called Star Wars. It was nicknamed Star Wars, and that name kind of stuck. There was the race to build Star Wars when the Russians started doing it as well. That doesn't mean that the Strategic Space Defense Initiative, which was during the late Cold War, was actually unreal. Of course, it was real, and it didn't exist in the actual. There was nothing like that in the actual program, but just the name Star Wars stuck. TK says, "Are aliens to do with being dead?" Well, I think if you get one of the mutes, yeah. Number one fan says, "Come on, everyone, please hit the like button." Oh yeah, I can only concur. But thank you very much, number one fan. Miles Lawler, hello. Have any of the Disclosure Conference attendees, presenters, been definitively discredited? Well, according to Charles, Carol Rosin was. Let me think. some people say that Clifford Stone was. He died just himself a couple of years ago. I don't think that's the case. You see, if you have been definitively discredited, I don't know. One thing's for sure, every single person who was at that event has had attempts made to discredit them. Whether that's fair or not, I don't know. Alan McVicker says, ask Carol for an interview, Ben. Interesting lady. Well, you know, Carol Allen, I did. But she actually turned me down. This is the purpose of the Skype conversation. She actually didn't want to. She didn't want to because she said that I was being too journalistic. I think she wants people basically who are really pro the, the banning of weapons in space, and I think that was unfair. And we had a discussion. It was a very good natured discussion, but I think she misunderstood me. But never mind. If Tanya Cummins said, I read Lawrence Fox was a Remainer. That put me off him as an actor. I suppose he's a lefty too. Tanya, he's certainly not a lefty. No, he's anti-woke, but a Remainer, is he? Because, I mean, obviously I'm a Brexiteer. You know how I'm a very, very staunch Brexiteer. David Schultz says, did you view Is an Alien False Flag event coming on the Michael Sell channel? I think let me just check. Hang on. Oh, you mean Michael Saller? Do you mean Michael Saller? Yes, I did. Or do you mean Michael Sell? No, there's a guy called Michael Sell here, but he's playing the guitar. David, I think you mean Michael Saller. Yes, I did. That was very, very interesting indeed. John Nolan says Nick Pope is still doing his Nick Pope thing too. Yeah, he's being very papal, as he always is. He goes on TV and says basically what he's been saying for the last 25 years, which is really just a kind of the same thing. Well, we can't rule it out. I can neither confirm nor deny that. And he's been on with Tucker Carlson saying the same thing. He's been saying that since about 1994. And he's still doing it now. He's still saying the same thing now. David makes a point that if you go on about the virus, YouTube don't like it. I know this is basically why Project Camelot were kicked off. But I mean, probably inevitably that's going to happen anyway. I mean, I've already been shadow banned. Right, Charles is talking about Gene Roddenberry's biography as a source for this. That would be interesting. That's an interesting idea, Charles. Yeah, Sam Robotham says, Dr. Mike McGee posits that is what happened when the dinosaurs were wiped out. An intelligent saurian got up into space and used the technology to guide a meteorite to hit the Earth. Really? I mean, that'd be interesting if that's true. I mean, I've not heard of this guy, but I'd like to know why he thinks that. Zoad says aliens are what we call modern humans. Maybe, we don't come from round here, do we? Zoad says we didn't evolve on Earth. Well, it's interesting, like people have been talking about human evolution and about how there are certain elements of our physiology that don't seem to fit where we would be if we just came out of from the primates. Zoad Earth says, name one animal on Earth with an afro. What like a big, thick, ball-like hair? Name one animal. Or humans, obviously. Some humans do. Obviously, like black people have that kind of hair. But also some white people like Leo Sayer. And Danny Sheehan's got a kind of white afro, hasn't he? Do you know what? I used to have an afro. You wouldn't believe it. Like this. Well, I don't have many photos now, but like when I was like in my late teens, I had really thick, bulbous hair. Yeah. Lex Luthor 116 says, my sister's an atheist. Saw Project Bluebeam in the mid-80s. Yugoslavia, Medjugorje, showing the Virgin Mary over the cross. Oh, there was a lot of talk about that, wasn't it? There was this guy I know, there was this real sort of Holy Joe bloke that I know, because this was when I used to be a Roman Catholic. And he was talking about the Virgin sightings at Medjugorje. Now, this is really quite something because I think David Icke mentioned this as well, because sometime in the 80s, a group of children in Medjugorje, which is in Bosnia. This was in the days before the war and before the split up of Yugoslavia. They had started having Marian encounters, just like Bernadette Subaru and all these other people, Bernadette Subaru at Lords and other people. And somebody said that they were going to this guy, this holy roller. He says to me, you know, you only have so long to repent, Ben. You only have so long to repent, because the sightings, the Mary has told the children that when she leaves, when these particular sightings leave, she will leave a sign upon the hillside where the children were first seen at Medjugorje, where the children first saw her. And when that sign appears, it will be too late to repent, and then it will be the end times. It will be book Revelations, rather like the book that went missing, the Antichrist, etc. But of course, these things can be artificially created. In fact, you know, believe it or not, this has actually been proven. There was a fake Marian sighting in I forgot where it was now, somewhere in Germany. Somebody actually used a projector to put an image of, this was in the 19th century, to put an image of Mary and shine it onto a wall. And this was in the days when that kind of technology was quite new and people didn't realise what it was, and it was a sort of rural area, and they thought it was real. Number one says you will be J.K. Ben soon. J.K. Rowling. Oh, I hope so. Well, you know, this is one of the advantages. Steve Bassett was saying, you know, it's about time people who write books like this started getting some success. So hopefully, is Israel Diego Rivera too genius too? Says you kept this quiet. Kept what quiet? All right. Charles is mentioning about Carol Rosin again. So Lawrence Fox is a Remainer. Oh dear, that's a shame. I wouldn't vote for him then. I'd vote for David Curtin. He was in UKIP. If I lived in London. Zawad says all public infrastructure in the UK is under Sukuk finance, matured in 2019. Outside of the EU, all policy decisions in the UK are Sharia compliant. Good luck to humans. Oh, I don't know about that. Right, because of course, like you're talking about the Sharia. The Sharia is the Muslim legal system, which is considered holy by Muslims, a gift from God, and they have specific rules about finance as well in that. Diego Rivera says LA Olympics closing ceremony, alien landing in the stadium. Oh, Diego Rivera, I was watching that just the other day. It's on YouTube, and yeah, that's quite something. It's all dark at night, and the alien, and I don't remember this when it first happened. I was just a little kid. It was 1984. I was just a little kid, but yeah, this flying saucer comes down. It looks really spooky. It's obviously being suspended by a crane or a helicopter, and yeah, this thing comes out of it. Yeah, this creature comes out. Charles unleashes Nick Pope, aka Harold Steptoe. Can you imagine Nick Pope going, "Oh, Dad, you're really embarrassing me. Why can't you stop that, Dad?" Patrick Patel says, Ben, I can't wait when someone creates a non-vaccine jab dating website. Well, you know, Patrick, if we're going to be outsiders and we're going to be sort of like if we're going to be like the Morlocks as opposed to the Eloi, then I suppose we need we need exactly that, don't we? We need to get together with other Morlocks. Pookie Nana says, that's quite a big shadow, Ben. Yeah. Well, I've got 42 current viewers. But, you know, obviously, I don't think I'm a bad person. I don't think I've said anything hateful or anything nasty. I think I've said what I believe is true. I've tried to be honest. I've tried to leave my ideas open to dissent from other users. Yeah, you know, I'm saying things that YouTube consider borderline content, so they've gone and shadow banned me. I proved it. I mean, you can see statistically exactly when that happened as well. Alan McVicker says Clifford Stone and Robert Dean, Old Boys Network, interesting individuals. They were. I mean, they're both dead now. But there was quite something. Yeah, what they said was quite something. You see, even though even though what they said, this was what the BBC focused on, as I said in my last video, because it's the most Clifford Stone is probably the most extreme person there, talking about being part of a crash retrieval team. You could anticipate that these exist on theoretical grounds if UFO crash retrievals exist. If they are a regular thing, then the government are going to train certain people, groups of people, to do this. And indeed, who were those Vodafone engineers at Penta, for example, you know? Michael Brink says Billy Meyer is debunked. Well, maybe, yeah. Sam Robotham says, look up his book, Who Lies Sleeping? Dave says we need a better platform for free speech. Well, Trump has launched his now, hasn't he? Yeah. Michael Snow says Ben had an afro. I'll have to find some old pictures of myself when I was like a teenager, if I can find any. I did have like a really thick brown hair out like that, you know. Zoad says, only one creature on Earth with an afro, mate. That's disclosure. Well, there are aliens that have hair like that, yeah. Oh, yeah, I've seen, there's these like grey, not grey, what are they like? They're sort of like terracotta-like aliens. I've seen pictures of them. And they literally have hair like Aretha Franklin. It's like a black, fuzzy sphere. Literally, it's almost completely perfectly round. It's sitting on their head, and you can see its hair, and they're basically this sphere just has a little hole or a little corner, a little sector cut out of it for the rest of their head. Yeah. Hiya, Kayla. Dave One says David Icke is banned. Yes, he is. David Icke is banned. Yeah, banned twice. Yeah, he's banned right over. Michael Snow says the Brian Rose interview finished him off. That was inevitably the last straw. Yeah, they got rid of him. Yeah. Robert Scott says, "Hello Ben, I love you and your analysis. What's up with UFO disclosure? Fake or real in your opinion?" Oh, Michael, thereby hangs a tale, and therein lies an explanation. The answer is, I hope real, but we've got to be on our guard against it being fake. I don't think that as some people claim it. Some people claim the whole thing's just staged. It's just the whole thing's just a setup. I don't think that's true. But we've got to be on our guard, haven't we? Diego Rivera says, do you think God is an alien? God's not an alien, but there are deities which have been worshipped who seem to have like alien-like features in some cultures. It's quite something, yeah. Like you get like what's his name? Viracocha. I think may have been an extraterrestrial. This is like Viracocha is a being who appeared in is said to have appeared according to the legends in Central or South America. The Mayans and the Aztecs talk about Viracocha. There's statues of him at Tiwanaku. Hi Alex Ritchie, how are you? Bluebeam or reality? That's a good question. That yeah. Charles On Lee says, do your impression of Nick Pope when he's drunk. All right, Ed. You got to imagine me sitting in the pub and there's green light from the lights outside coming on me. Ben, do you know where I've been today, Ben? Before I came here, I went to the BBC Manchester to talk to them in the studio. Do you know what I'm going to do, Ben? I'm going to be on a programme. They're making a programme. It's a little bit like Strictly Come Dancing, except we've got to work out who the real alien abductees are. And they got to come on stage, and we've got to work out who they are. It's a new programme. It's going to be really good, Ben. You will watch it, won't you? He literally did that, yeah. Robert Scott says, I think so as well. I've been planning to look at the Seattle Tower Bluebeam display. All right, yeah. Is there the Seattle Tower Bluebeam? I don't know about that, but I know that some people said that they obviously the thing to do with the planes on 9/11, for example. If you see Dr. Judy Wood, obviously if those were not real aircraft, then what were they? Pookie now says we love you. I love you too, Pookie. Shelley, you're totally chill and kind, Ben. Oh, thanks, Shelley. Much appreciated. Thanks for tuning in. No One's Flower says talks about the Morlocks. Yeah, it's The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. That's worth reading. It's really short. You can read it in a couple of hours. It's just like a novella, but it's an interesting story actually. Hi, Gary Robinson. John Nolan says, I'm tired of the people talking about the Tic Tac and not saying it's alien. John, yeah, I mean, it's getting a bit ridiculous now. I mean, when Mick West says things like, oh, obviously it was a flock of seagulls, and Fravor saw a reflection on the canopy and of the aircraft. I'm like, that's a clown's day off fallacy. You know, anyone can make these things up and just say, well, that's my explanation. It doesn't involve ETs, therefore it wins by default. And it's annoying. And I think it's a good sign in a way, because when you get really ridiculous, when the skeptics come out with really ridiculous explanations, you know that it's a good. They come out with skeptics sometimes come out with things crazier than anything we could. You know, the mysterious levitating lighthouse of Rendlesham Forest. That's hilarious. That's brilliant. David Schultz, did I view the film The Brother from Another Planet? No, never seen it. Mars Lawler, why are the recent UFO disclosure sources US Navy ATIP orbs pyramids? That's because they're at sea. What you're going to find is this is why what you'll find is the most common type of UFO witness is probably a pilot, a military pilot. Or in the case of the USOs or things close to the sea, it'll be someone in the Navy, because these are the people when it comes to defending airspace and territorial waters. These are the very people whose job it is to do that. Which means if something invades those, they're the people who have to deal with it, and they're the people who will see the UFO first. Shelley, what's the most recent UFO sighting report? Well, Shelley, they come in every day. I mean, if you go to like a database like the MUFON database or there's several others, you'll probably find some that are like fresh in today. Hello, Nihilist Lives Matter. I've got the vax. Does that mean I'm out of the club? I don't know what you mean by club, but no, I mean, you mean you can still... You can still talk to me. I'm not going to disown you. I think you made a mistake, and I would recommend not having the second one. But it's up to you. I mean, it's up to you, of course. It's a medical procedure. You give your consent. I mean, monitor your own health very carefully. If you feel ill at all, I'd just definitely go to the doctor. Michael Snow, I'll try and get myself a picture. I'll try and get a picture of myself with hair. I will. Yeah. Poogie Nana. Ben sang on the backing track of Burn Baby Burn. Oh yeah, that was what's the name of that singer? Not Diana Ross. Oh, she's Corey Good is debunked, says Michael. All right, no blue chickens then. Charles says, the Imperious leader from Battlestar Galactica had an afro. Oh, he did, didn't he? Yeah, that's weird. Alien. You only see him from behind. This was in the original Battlestar Galactica, which was really good. They made a new one, which was no good. But he had the voice was Patrick McNee, as he did his voice. But the man himself sat in this chair on this big pedestal, and he had you never see him from the front, but he had this like big, just like the aliens I described, big mop of hair, really smooth mop of circular hair. Yeah. Diego Rivera says aliens tend to be bald. Does that mean they do not care about hair loss? You would think they'd be able to find a cure. Maybe they don't have hair. Maybe they just don't want that. Nihilist Lives Matter. It would be hilarious if David Icke was an alien and is using reverse psychology. Oh, well, according to... I mean, is he... How many people have accused him of being a shell? I mean, everyone in his dog is now accusing everyone in his dog of being a shell. Oh, but yes. Miles Law says Steven Spielberg knows everything. Well, if he is, he's keeping quiet about it. Interesting thing about Spielberg. I mean, if you get like I've got like this deluxe DVD of Close Encounters, and there's some like featurettes, documentaries on there. And they have interviews with him, both at the time, contemporary when he's making the film, but also then later on, years later, when this DVD was produced. And he says, he says, no. They asked him, "Do you believe in this UFO stuff?" And he says, "Not anymore." He says, "I couldn't make that film now." He says, "I just don't believe in it all anymore." But maybe, just maybe, he's saying that, and he does really. TK's asking about the Chinese rocket. I don't think it did kill anyone. I think it may have landed in the sea. It broke up as it was coming in, and I think the pieces just landed in the sea. Patrick Patel says, "Ben, do you think if it's possible that other advanced people existed on Earth in ancient times? Some of their UFO technology was used by more recent people to create biblical miracles." Yes, I think it's quite possible, Patrick. I mean, from what we've seen of, like, Graham Hancock has discovered, there was certainly they had the ability to create stone megalithic sites like Göbekli Tepe. It's possible they created other things as well, but you see, really, if you're talking about the length of time, 10,000 years plus, stone monuments is the only thing that will survive. I mean, if we just all disappeared, if humans all disappeared, it's quite likely that most of what we see around us would, within a few centuries, the buildings would just crumble away. The only things that would remain are solid stone. Bronto Max says, "What will happen to the vaccinated?" Well, some of them are became very ill. Some of them have become very ill. Others are all right. Whether those who are all right now will develop some disease later on, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But so far, I know most people have come through their vaccination without any harm. My brother just got a bit sore on his arm. My dad didn't feel any pain, anything like that. Other people get really seriously ill. Patrick Patel, what if these UFO ancient technologies were used by the powers that be to dupe Abraham and his present-day followers for controlling their minds? You've been reading, what's his name, Ian Ross Vero, haven't you? Because he's Ian Ross Vero. He's an Australian guy. He wrote a book called "What They Don't Teach You at Sunday School," which goes into the origins of the major religions of the world, and it's quite shocking, actually. If you're a believer, you'll probably be very upset by it, but there's distinct reason to believe that, for example, a lot of the Bible is an anthology of all kinds of things, but it was edited by someone called Saint Jerome, and a lot of it was cut out, a lot of it more was put in. Oh, it's really quite something, that, yeah. Darnish Lives Matter. I've had both doses. I'm worried about the side effects. I noticed in the mirror I've got fat and old. It has to be the vax. Not necessarily Darnish Lives Matter. It may simply be the years are piling on. I mean, that's what happens to us all, doesn't it? So is the Chinese rocket landed in the Indian Ocean? All right. Well, hopefully there's a couple of islands there, like Diego Garcia and places like that, and the Maldives. I hope no one there got hit by it. CK said, "Somebody told me that aliens are related to frogs." Some of them might be, yeah. John Nolan, do you think there is beings living in the inner earth? Quite possibly, John. I know people who've been down into caves and come across weird creatures. I mean, there's several horror movies and ancient myths of horrible creatures living in caves, like The Descent, that's a very good film, actually, The Descent. Remember, outright terror, bold and brilliant. That's really creepy. I mean, in H.G. Wells' Time Machine, again, you can watch it. It's very, it don't take you long to read it. These Morlocks are actually human. They're humans that have evolved into subterranean creatures, and they live in caves. They live underground, and they actually eat the Eloi, who are like normal humans who live above. Charles says, "Who wouldn't want hair, Ben? Unthinkable." Oh, I really can't. I don't really know what would happen if I tried to grow my hair. I'd probably be bald in a lot of places, but Shelley says, the most intriguing UFO sighting for you. All right, for me recently, I think it's if you're talking about recent and fascinating, the stuff that's coming out of the USS Russell and the USS Omaha. Now, I know that Mick West thinks I said I thought Mick West might be right about the triangles, but I don't think he is actually, because there's been some people addressing his points. So that's very interesting, I think. Patrick Patel says, I personally believe all religions were created by the powers that be to control all the poor dumb people. Well, Patrick, that might be true, This doesn't mean, like, if you are a believer in a religion and you get a sense of connection with God through that religion, and you express a sense of genuine spirituality, that's fine. I mean, David Icke made this point about, because he knows people who are Christians and Muslims and Jews and Hindus and other people who are very big fans of him, even though he says, look, your religion is it's a solar worshipping cult in disguise, which is basically the idea that Ian Ross Vero come up with. Pookie Nana says, my ex-wife grew another face. That's 3 she has now. Pookie, are you sure she's human? Maybe she's an alien. Keith M1 says, some sad people still believe in fairy tales. There are no aliens, never have been. Right, is that just one point you're making, or two? Because I don't know anyone who actually believes in fairy tales, but aliens are not a fairy tale, and they are aliens. And they've been around longer than we have. Diego Rivera, is there a connection between a vaccine and aliens? Gene technology? I don't know. Nihilist Lives Matter answers Patrick Patel there. Zoad says, I'm guessing some blood groups are being targeted by vaccines for a reason. Well, there is supposedly, Zoad, there are supposedly, I think, is it AB positive people, or rhesus positive people there's a lot of rhesus positive people in the elite. For example, some doctor was saying that one of Henry VIII's wives had rhesus disease, although it wasn't identified in those days. Michael Snow, I brought up Diego Garcia. Is MH370 at Diego Garcia? Maybe. Miles Lawler, Ben, could you conduct a quick poll of the people in the chat box? Who has seen a UFO? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Go for it, guys. We see Bonto Max, hi, says 0. Pookie Nano's seen one. Nihilist Lives Matter. The Eloi are the descendants of Antifa. Yes. Diego Rivera asks, have I read John Wyndham? Yes, I have. In fact, one of his most interesting books is The Midwich Cuckoos, which is basically about alien creatures invading Earth by literally being born on the Earth. Patrick Patel, I personally feel all humans are hybrid aliens. Some people, especially the risk, like Elon Musk or Bill Gates, know our true history. They will create a Hollywood-style alien invasion. Mars Lawler seen a UFO. Clopite not. Gary yes. Alex yes. Shelley right. So we've got quite a few people here who've seen them. My nose is itching. Welsh Ripper. Hello, Welsh Ripper. That's a good name. 2016 Santrisant possible UFO crash. You're talking about that. Yeah, I know it as the Pentuch incident, but it was close to Santrisant. Yes, it's a small village. Santrisant's quite a big town. Pentuch is a small village to the east of Santrisant. Yeah, but yeah, that's true. Welsh Ripper. You may be familiar with Kaz Clark and Gary Jones. Diego Rivera. John Wyndham predicted all that has happened in his books. He went to a Masonic school. Yeah. There's also, one of his most interesting books was actually called Chocky and was made into a TV series I used to love as a child, about an alien about a young boy who has alien contactees. He's an alien contactee. It's very interesting. Charles says, if Jermaine existed, he would have spoken Roman Latin. The New Testament was first in Greek. St. Jerome, do you mean? Pookie Nana seen 2 UFOs. Colin says Elon Musk says he has Asperger's. People who would like that tend to be quite they tend to be Trojans when it comes to working and dedication, because people like that, it's a form of autism, Asperger's syndrome, but people like that tend to be get very obsessive about things. David, Nihilist might have had the Pfizer jab. Okay. You had a sore arm. All right, but I hope you'll be all right, Nihilist. I really do. Right. Pookie Nana seen UFOs. Right. Welsh Ripper says, one, but see blacked out choppers on that night, first night. Did you see, yeah, Welsh Ripper, there was something going on called Operation Chameleon, which might explain some of the aircraft sightings. However, something did happen, both at Pentych, the village, also at the woods at Smilog Woods near Llantrisant. I think there was a crash there. I mean, there's been a whole load of things happen. Something happened at that hospital. There was a very loud explosion near the hospital. It was quite extraordinary, that, yeah. Bonto Max says, my immune system had an intense reaction to my first dose. My marrow ached like never before. Is that a bad sign? Bonto, I would not risk having it another one. Don't have the second, because if you really want to have the vaccine, it's up to you, but I would talk to your doctor. Tell your doctor what's happened to you, definitely. Gary Robinson, yeah, Gary, you've talked about your UFO sightings before in Mexico and in UK, yeah. Patrick Patel says, Ben, I think you have a sexy brain. I wish there was a lady who had a brain like yours. Well, thank you, darling. Oh. Charles Unleashed. Musk was just in the right place at the right time. Well, he's obviously a very talented chap as well, I mean, and he has this SpaceX thing, which is quite, I've got nothing against the guy. Alex Ritchie said, if you're vaxxed, you're a chimera and owned under patent. Well, I know certain genes now are patented, aren't they? TK said, so the disclosure press conference was just pie in the sky, I get. Thanks that nothing came of it. TK, thank you for getting back onto topic. It's obviously, I think 9/11 may have screwed it up. As I said, it might have been a 9/11 thing. That's what would have happened if 9/11 hadn't happened. What would have been the effect? I don't know. Charles Unleashed. Where is it? Nice Lives Matter. Musk is the least worst of the billionaires. I don't know. Crafty Nihilist said something here. I've seen 5 all at once, she said. She and he, both of them. Yeah, it'd be good to see you sometime, Crafties. I mean, I know, sorry we couldn't meet up when you came to Oxford. It'd be nice to see you sometime. Right, TK has made a good point here that there's people who will not have an injection, but the nasal spray, the vaccines they will have. It's interesting because, it's less, you see, people react differently simply because it's less invasive. It's less invasive to have something spraying up your nose than it is to have a needle stuck into your body. And that it causes a different psychological reaction. But really, if you don't spray anything up your nose, you wouldn't be happy to have through a needle into your body. If you wouldn't have it as an injection, don't have it as nasal spray, 'cause it's the same stuff. It gets into your body either way. Jay Guevara says, in Day of the Triffids, John Wyndham predicted a fake comet meteor attack on the world that made some people blind. Also contains a GMO plant that kills people. Lead character called Bill Mason. I never finished that book. I started reading it and I sort of... It's quite funny, actually, because the first thing everyone does after this disaster is they just go down the pub and they raid the pubs and get drunk. And I can just imagine that actually happening. But it's about there's basically these comet. There's a comet that comes, which is so bright it blinds people. Everyone who looks at it goes blind. And at the same time, they have these these plants. Well, I don't think they're GMOs. I think they're aliens. I mean, they just appear at one point, and the humans decide to farm them because they give off oil. They can create a chemical which is very useful. But of course, these all escape, and this plant like walks around. It has it has poison stings. It's like a really weird looking plant, and it like does attacks you and kills people. Yeah. My eyes are a bit funny this evening. John Nolan, there have been wall paintings found in caves that are clearly grey aliens. That's right, John. Thousands of years old. I mean, I was discussing this. There's some in the USA, actually, in some of the desert areas, where you can distinctly see these cave paintings. They show grey aliens. And in Australia, too, the Aborigines made these creatures called Wanginas. And I think they are... I think they look just like these greys, don't they? Welsh Ripper says, yes, that's right. It seems to come from Pontypridd and Porth, kept low past my house. I wish I'd filmed it, but no. Hey, did you actually see this? I mean, it wasn't just an aircraft you saw. It was actually you saw some weird craft. Because get in touch with Gary Jones and Kaz Clark, or email me bennyj74@gmx.co.uk. I'll put you in touch with them, or check me up on Facebook because they'd love to hear from you. They really would. Zoad Earth says, we will create separate fronts to prevent from seeing the connection between us. They'll take the powder but not the vaccine, says TK. Take ant powder but not the vaccine. I would take either. TK Charles says, seeing as Steve isn't here, he's authorised me as proxy to say absolute rubbish. Thanks, Charles. Oh, it'd be good if he could be here, actually, because it'd be good to get him on live. He's been quiet lately, hasn't he? Yeah. And Zoad Earth says, we will always stand above the relative field of their experience, for we know the secret of the absolute. We will work together always and remain bound by blood and secrecy. Is that like a Masonic thing? Alex Ritchie says, Musk is responsible for launching the infrastructure to activate the nanotech in the vax. Come on, for fuck's sake, do not have it. I don't know, is that true? I don't know. Shelley says, I think the vaccines are an Illuminati rollout. I'm sure don't want one. Very wise, Shelley. Yeah, don't have one. Don't have one. Charles says, less invasive to something up the nose. Tell that to the aliens. Well, they do things that are very invasive, don't they? I'm getting tired. My eyes are getting like we're going a bit funny. Pookie Nana says, nothing's going up my nose since I sniffed coke. The bubbles tickle my sinuses, and the bogies are still causing issues. That's because yes, don't sniff coke. Yeah, sniff Pepsi if you've got to sniff something. Yeah. Michael Snow says, it's been confirmed China were researching using the coronavirus as a weapon. Yeah, and it was at the Wuhan laboratory too, Michael. But, that's not the cause of the pandemic. No, the pandemic came from this little market next door. Yes. You believe that, you believe anything. Oh, right. So Charles says that Triffids were genetically engineered as an alternative to petrol. Right, I didn't. It was years ago I read that book, and I didn't finish the book. I only read about half of it. I don't know why I didn't. I don't know why I didn't finish it. Nose is itching. Where are we now? Zoad Earth says the poisons will be absorbed through the skin and mouths, their skin. They will destroy their minds and reproductive systems. From all this, their children will be born dead. We will conceal this information. It sounds like something. Sounds like they're unveiling them. What was it? The like the constitution for the New World Order. silent weapons for a quiet war and things like that, or the protocols, which I'm not allowed to mention. But it sounds a bit like that, you know. Let's have a look. What do we have? Oh, Charles says I need a hay fever pill. Maybe I'm getting hay fever again after all these years because I had it when I was a kid. I don't have it now, but I haven't had it for a while. Red Cap Goblin says worrying about idiot humans can save your life. Oh, right. Zoad Earth is saying, I'm sure Zoad Earth is saying things that I've read before, because there was this thing called the Secret Covenant. It was on the Unveiling Them website. And it's what you've just described sounds a bit like that. It's kind of like a silent weapons for a quiet war thing. Charles says, I managed to sell Wuhan Market a bridge in Brooklyn. Oh, Patrick Patel says, Ben, do you have any good movie recommendations about aliens? I love Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I feel these films have a lot of hidden messages. Some of them do, you know, Patrick. I mean, what do I recommend? There's so many about aliens. I would say one, if you've not seen it before, and it's just actually appeared on Netflix, but I've got the DVD of it. It's called The Fourth Kind. It is. I actually watched it. You see, it's in the form of a docudrama, and you may have seen my review because I actually did a video review of it. Because when I first watched it, I thought it was real. I actually thought it was, even though it's a kind of Ghost Watch type War of the Worlds thing, I thought it was real, and it scared the effing bejesus out of me. So do watch The Fourth Kind. It's very very vivid and very, very frightening. It's kind of like a horror movie, really. So that's, as for other films about aliens. Oh, well, there's several really good episodes of the X-Files. Villanora, hello Villon, says I'm not against anyone having the vaccine. Villon, I'm not either, because all I can say is I advise against it. But at the end of the day, people have the information; they can do what they like. My brother and my father have both had it. I wish they hadn't, but you know, I've given up trying to convince them. It's just no point. They do not listen to me. All right, Charles says that fell flat. The Brooklyn Bridge was the biggest scam in history. Oh, right, I didn't know about that. I know it's a big, famous bridge in New York. I didn't know about that. Nihilist Lives Matter. It is The Fourth Kind with Mila Jovovich. I can't watch anything with her in. Yes, she is in it. She's very good in it, actually. It's like, of course, she's best known for the zombie movies. You know, the Resident Evil, which I've actually reviewed that. I've watched all of those because remember my zombie talk, I talk about that. Yeah. E.T., my favourite Alien DVD box set is Taken. Yeah, Taken, Steven Spielberg presents. That's very good. Not the movie Taken, the miniseries. That is really good, E.T., yeah. Villanora says, I love my government. And the was it you? Yeah, but that was a joke. I thought it might be. Now, Welsh Ripper said, blackout helicopter for death. It landed on the mountain about a mile away. But when it passed, it was a stone's throw. That close in Trebanog, when it landed for about 1 minute and lit up green and red. You know, Welsh Ripper, that could be something to do with what happened to the Smilog Woods. I do recommend, send us an email and contact Gary and... Oh, my nose is itching. Gary and Kaz. TK, like when you vote and get a new Prime Minister, what actually changes? Well, TK, sadly, not very much, is it? I mean, I didn't vote in this election. I didn't vote. There was an independent candidate in my ward who I thought about backing just because they happen to be independent, but I thought that's not really a very good reason for voting, so I just decided not to bother. Yeah, Diego Rivera talks about more rigged elections. Oh, election rigging. We're going to get Dominion voting machines at some point in this country. You'll see. TK says the whole of the civil service remains with exactly the same people. You know, TK, it's worth watching Yes Minister and Yes Prime Minister. It's a great comedy, satirical comedy series. But of course, what's interesting about it is that the minister, Jim Hacker, he's constantly, he has this kind of like worm tongue like figure constantly manipulating him in his ear. This Sir Humphrey Appleby, who always manages to talk him round to do things by coming out with all kinds of weird gobbledygook explanations. That's actually, and it's what's interesting about Yes Minister. It was written by some people who I don't know what their position was, but they were. I think it's kind of true spoken in jest. Thanks, Welsh Ripper. Do get in touch because I'd love to hear more. It's possible if you saw something that really you couldn't explain, then it's possible you saw the same object that Kaz and Gary did, Kaz did, and the other witness. But unusual military activity in the area could well be something to do with the Smilog Woods event. Sick Ghost, hello. I love my government too. They love us so much. They always speak truth, and I think we should give up our God-given rights because the government is basically God and would never do us wrong. Yeah. Your irony is palpable, Sick Ghost. Zoad Earth is writing out parts of this constitution, which sounds like the unveiling them thing, the secret covenant. David, Splendid Isolation. Hi David, how are you? Yes Minister was made by Thatcher's group to lampoon the civil service. It's very amusing. It's you could just imagine there are these people. What was it? The phrase you used? Remember when Margaret Thatcher was when they got rid of her, when they brought her down? They did. It was essentially a coup d'état. They got rid of Margaret Thatcher. They said the men in grey suits will decide. Do you remember it was that journalist? He said the men in grey suits will decide. But who are the men in grey suits? Who's he talking about? Vrilon says global governance is inevitable, Chinese Communist Party style. It's not inevitable, Vrilon. It's something. It's a threat. It's a warning. What's happening? But it's not. It's actually not inevitable. I think we can stop it. Jog of Ages, hello. You're just making fish and chips for dinner. Oh, that's lovely. That's nice. We were talking about all kinds of things, but this is about the Disclosure Project press conference 2001. But of course, it always Welsh Ripper wants to know the email. I'll write it down here. Here we go. If any of you want to email me, this is my public email address. There you go. You can email me there. Red Cap, get some sleep, Ben. You look exhausted. Yeah, I didn't sleep too well last night. I'm like kind of. I'll stop in a minute. Actually, I'll stop soon because I'm. It's been quite a good live stream already, but. So on Earth, it is, isn't it? You'll read this is the Secret Covenant, isn't it? Legend Real, you just joined, didn't get a notification. Oh, not again, Legend. This is happening all the time. Oh. Oh, Miles Lawler just subscribed. Thanks, Miles, but were you unsubscribed by any chance? Let me just find that Secret Covenant. It's very good, it's very interesting. Here we are. The Secret Covenant, unveiling them. The Secret Covenant of the Illuminati, unveiling them. There we go. And it is actually, it's exactly what Vrillon, not Vrillon, Zoad Earth has been writing in the chat. Jock of Ages says, watched the Penta story for the first time last week. Wow. Why did I know about that? Kaz Clark is great. Jock, thanks, mate. There's lots of videos, including my own, which are worth watching. I've interviewed them as well. It's it's a very interesting event, yeah. Charles says, no sleep, Ben. You want me to take Agent Rin off the case? Oh, no, Charles, no. Leave her with me. She's absolutely fine. I could sacrifice a bit of sleep for her, yeah. Vrillon Aura, Ben is fighting a war each night in the astral. Well, you know, Vrillon, some of the dreams I have, I do wonder, you know. So, shall I save you the bother? Right, I'll just put this in chat, and then people can read what you're posting and save you the bother of doing it. Because honestly, it's very interesting. If you watch Silent Weapons for a Quiet War, you'll find this very interesting. Paul Culliford, hello. Is Richard Dolan any good? Well, he seems to be back on form now, Paul. I found him. I was very frustrated because he was really blackpilling really badly and going on kind of we're all doomed. You know, there's no point. The disclosure train's slowing down and stuff like that. You know, but he did. I avoided him for a while because I found him a bit tiresome because he was going, oh, well, you know, I think things are just going to go back the way they were before. We're not going to have any disclosure. I think in June there's going to be nothing happening at all. No, it's not, you know, I mean, Bryce Zabel, his co-author, has been a lot more positive, and I've just been reading one of his new articles, and I tell you what, I think he not only does he goes into more detail, like he goes into more specifics. Dolan just makes general. He focuses on kind of general comments about society and things like that. Zabel goes into more specifics of the various things that have happened, like with the CIA director and national security director speaking out, things like that, Brennan speaking out, Ratcliffe speaking out, things like that. And he says, no, there is actually a pretty good chance that this could be the end of the truth embargo. Redknapp says them disclosing now is to push the imminent alien threat. Well, that's it, isn't it? That's what we've got to be on our guard about. Are we going to get disclosure first of all, and then the answer is probably yes. But then will the disclosure be the real disclosure? As I say in my book, which I'm not plugging, Roswell Rising, a novel of disclosure. You'll know if you read that book that I create in fictional form. I describe that particular problem, because without any kind of spoilers, when disclosure happens, it starts off as fake. That's all I'll say. You've got to read it to get the rest. Bonto Max says, which UFO podcast would you recommend? There's lots. There's lots. Firstly, there's Podcast UFO, which it's not as good as it used to be, actually. It's behind a bloody paywall now, isn't it? Yeah, it's behind a paywall. That's very good. There's various YouTubers and people who basically do. There's all kinds of YouTubers and podcasters, people out who they don't have names for their show. It's just like the Richard Dolan podcast or Richard Dolan's YouTube channel. There's Erica Luke's and her channel. I actually I was listening. I quite like Erica Luke's show. I think it's pretty good. Though I did have some criticisms of her on a latest one, the one that Charles Unleashed sent me, which I put in as a comment. There's Somewhere in the Skies with Ryan Sprague. That's good. That is very good. And there's also Jordan Sather. He's very good. He's a young chap, I think. I don't know how old he is. 30 something. He's quite young, and he does this really good. I think he might even be younger than that. He's like 20 something, I think. But he does this. He does this excellent show, and he covers all kinds of things, not just UFOs. He covers like politics and things like that, and Trump and stuff like that. And Bonto, of course, one I can recommend very much is the Hapanwo Show, which is hosted by me, and Third Rail Radio, which is hosted by myself and Trevor Murray. So don't forget those, of course. Villanora, I don't think I've seen anything to warrant full disclosure. Villanora, not yet, no. It seems there's some kind of movement in a particular direction, which is it's something that's in the last few years. It's never happened before. I don't know if the people at the press conference in 2001 saw this. It would give them hope if they could see into the future. I mean, Bryce Zabel actually says this. Charles Unleashed, or Dolan is just making excuses for scamming people. All right. I'll say more about this when I answer your comments in the comment reply video, Charles. Oh, Shelley says, Dolan deflates when there's little to reflect back on him, cough. Well, he has certainly been a bit deflated lately. Zoad Earth says, big ships flying clouds out of North Wales, for your information. Well, Zoad, in South Wales they do. Yeah. Villanor said, I've seen one close up. Yeah. Red Dat Goblin says, CIA is trying to spin secrecy. It's them saving us, making themselves heroes instead of the corrupt bastards they truly are. Well, whatever Carol Rosin has said and whatever she says now, what she said is theoretically true. If evil aliens invaded us, we would go to the government right now and we would say, take our civil rights, take every civil right that our ancestors fought for, and suspend them temporarily, of course, to protect us from these oinks, these little green men, whatever they might be. They're probably some kind of evil tentacle thing, like in that Independence Day. Oh, Zoada says, I really enjoy the live chat. Thank you very much. Oh, Jason Gurr says, Podcast UFO goes out live and is available on YouTube. All right, Jason. If obviously they've changed. They were behind a paywall, but if they're not now, that's good. Charles Unleashed says Erica is good, but Erica Lukes is, I don't know if it's fair to say she doesn't like men and can't shut about it, but she's jumped on this bandwagon which Paola Harris has been pumping for years and years and years, which is, there's not enough women in ufology, as if we've got to do something about it. Something's wrong, it's got to be fixed. What are we going to do? Let's start banning men from conferences. And Paola's advocated this to her discredit. I mean, I like the woman, and we get on well, this is. If you watch my Hull video, I had a big rant about that. Okay, so do watch my Rawcon in Hull video from last year, and I have later on in that film. It's a long video, it's over 4 hours, but I do have a rant in my hotel room about that sort of thing. And I think I did put a comment on one of Erica Luke's videos to correct her in that sense. Oh, Paul Culliff has mentioned security. Yeah, Tyler is back on security. Yeah. Whoever was asking me about the good podcasts, Secure Team 10 is very interesting. Obviously, the quality of information varies, like they all do, but it's always worth watching. Patrick Patel, thanks for the fourth kind. Maybe the aliens will reveal themselves only after they've got everyone on Earth vaccinated. I doubt it. I doubt it. Patrick, do watch the fourth kind, yeah, and it probably won't scare you as much as it scared me, because I mean, everyone knows that it's not real now. But when I saw it, I thought it was real. I did think it was real, and it scared the living excrement out of me. Charles Unleashed, John Alexander, Ben, remember that one? Yes, Charles, I did. That's the program I watched. John Alexander he's used to be with DARPA, and he was also involved in the remote viewing, which John Ronson's documentary covers. He visited John Hutchison in 1982. He went to John Hutchison's laboratory, which is very suspicious. And now he does the circuit of UFO conferences. And I'll probably say more on the comments reply video, Charles. But I mean, people shouldn't get too buddy with him. I'm not saying be nasty to him. I'm not saying tell him to get stuff. But I'm just saying, just keep him at arm's length. I would, because yeah, you've got to be wary of people like that. TK says, if I was in a burning building and the fireman said jump, then I would. Yeah. Well, the burning building would be like Earth in the case of an alien invasion, and the government, if that happens, whether it's real or fake, the government will say jump and people will jump. Problem, reaction, solution. Yeah. Did someone ask me about, where was it? Someone asked me about shapeshifters. Where was it? Oh, ever seen a shapeshifter? Me? No. No, I haven't. Bonto Max, what's the name of the UFO incident in Brazil involving lasers attacking villagers? That's the Colares event. That was in, I think, it was in the late 70s, 77, I think, where, yeah, it was Colares. It's an island in the Amazon River, in the River Amazon. And the government got in there. They had something called Operation Prato. Now, Prato in Portuguese means saucer, so it's Operation Saucer. There's a great documentary about it. The doctor who treated the people with the wound, with the injuries on them, she came forward and she says, "This is really weird. What was going on? These injuries looked very strange." She said, "I've never seen anything like it." The Colares incident, yeah. David Schultz, an interesting UFO movie, The Vast of Night. The Vast of Night? What's that? I'll see if I can find it. The Vast of Night. Because I like UFO movies, you know. The Vast of Night. All right. 2019. Oh, yeah. Directed by Andrew Patterson, starring Sierra McCormack and Jake Horowitz. That sounds interesting. That looks interesting, yeah. The Vast of Night. Zoid Earth with dreadlocks and everything. Oh yeah, like like the Predator in the film with Arnold Schwarzenegger, yeah. It looks like a kind of if Bob Marley was an alien, he'd look like that, yeah. TK says I'm not jumping. No, I mean if you suspect the fire's not real in the building, then you won't jump, will you? I think one of our job, our duty, I think, in this period, is to be if someone tries to start a fake fire, we're the people who say there's no real fire, and hopefully there'll be enough of us and we'll reach enough people so that everyone has a moment of pause. Shelley says woke ufology would be pathetic. It would, and it is, Shelley. It really is, and I mean. The people who get into it, I find frustrating. Some of the people I really admire and quite like and support have gone down this road. And Paola Harris, I've got a lot of respect for in many ways. But there's Bryce Zabel and Ryan Sprague have been a bit like that. I mean, Zabel is producing a new document. He's producing not a documentary, he's producing like a movie, a fictional movie about Betty and Barney Hill, and he's already announced it's going to be very sort of like blaxploitation themed, which which I think will spoil it. I think it will spoil it because I don't want to watch movies about UFOs to be lectured on politics, especially when it's about how evil my race is. I don't want that. Right, we've had enough of that. We white people, we've had enough of that, haven't we, guys? Come on, you've got to stop at some point. So woke ufology is pathetic, Shelley, and I'll never be a part of it. David says, David Splendid Isolation, there are a huge number of UFO documentaries on Amazon Prime. There are, yeah, all the Area 50, that Norio Harakara documentary, Norio Akara, whatever his name is, about Area 51. That's brilliant, and that's there. I can't even remember what it's called, but it's a fantastic documentary about Area 51, and it's on Amazon Prime. Where are we now? Oh, there's so many. Villain aura, pronouns in ufology. Yeah, what would be the pronouns of the aliens, I wonder? That'd be a bit of a trick, wouldn't it? Faz40 says, hello Faz, did you check out Mark of the Beast by Paul Diston? It's worth a watch. No, but I'm sort of into that sort of thing at the moment. I'm reading some books about it, including the one that disappeared, and so that sounds good, doesn't it? David Schultz, what about UFO Man on YouTube? Oh, that's yeah, I like him. Also, another one is Alien Girl, and there's Post Disclosure World. Oh, he's the best. I love him. He's great. UFO Jesus. He doesn't do much. I mean, he's not a prolific uploader. He maybe brings out a 15-minute video once a week or something. He doesn't actually do an awful lot, but the stuff he brings out is really, really good. Charles Unleashed. Richard Dolan didn't. He made Alexandra a business partner. Know where I'm going with this? Yeah, well, based on what was in that video you sent me, Erica Luke's video. Yeah, and that's something I wouldn't do. I certainly wouldn't do that. I'll say more probably on the comments reply video. I'm coming. Redknapp Goblin. Lots of folks screaming Dolan's sold out. But I haven't seen a shed of proof of it. That well, Redknapp. I mean, sold out is it's a serious matter to accuse, because that's an accusation essentially of betrayal. There are people who make mistakes, and there are people who do things deliberately. I don't think Dolan, from what I can see, is if he's hanging out, he's hung out with some dodgy people. I mean, he used to be mates with Nick Pope as well. Charles just mentioned that, John Alexander. That's. You can sort of like be in a position where you effectively act like a sold out person, even if you don't mean to. He's also been very dismal. He went through a very dismal phase about a month ago, which he seems to be coming out of now, where I found him very irritating. He seemed to become very nihilistic and very, very morose, and unjustifiably so. I mean, people like that always say, "Look, I'm not a pessimist. I'm just being realistic," but there's unrealistic pessimism as well. There's mindless pessimism, in the same way there's mindless optimism, and he started to become a bit of a mindless pessimist. Redknapp Goblin says a large number of found footage genre UFO movies now. Redcap, yes. You know, there's a really good one actually about the Phoenix Lights. I can't remember what it's called, but it's themed on the Phoenix Lights. It's about a group of young people who take like a camper van out near Phoenix when the lights come through, and they meet aliens. It's kind of a horror movie. It's pretty scary. It's pretty good. Zoad Earth says, Ethiopian princess did a full disclosure on me in 1999, just before the Deutsche Bank anomaly. Well, Zoad, who's this? An Ethiopian princess did disclosure on me. Who is she? She said, if she knows things that could be useful to know, especially if she's royalty. I mean, people will listen to her. Does Ethiopia still have a monarchy? I know they had Haile Selassie, the emperor, but Shelley says Dolan just burns out if attention is lacking, but he won't drop out. Shelley, I think he seems to have picked himself up after his little stumble, and I hope that continues. I hope he doesn't fall again. Iron Man Spartan, watch a new. Hello, Iron Man. How are you? Watch a new space movie called Voyagers. Oh right, there's lots of things to watch. Vernon Aura says, I think that's in reply to Charles Unleashed. Sources can at least be investigated, unlike David Wilcox's informants. Oh, David Wilcock, the blue chickens and the stuff. See, I was listening to like a 3-hour talk by David Wilcock, and he starts off with like some really amazing stuff about Antarctica, which fits in with what Jack, this guy I met, told me. And then he starts talking about the blue avians, and I'm thinking, what? Redknapp Goblin, the woke movement needs to take it. Sorry. I better not. You better not say that, Goblin, because I know what you mean. It needs to. It's an annoying thing that needs to stop. and it's destructive. Jock of Ages puts it, keep woke out of the UFO community, please. Yeah, if there's one place on Earth, I mean, it would be the last place on Earth we don't have it, is here. I don't want it here. It'll be incredibly destructive. As I said to Paola Harris, I actually debated with Paola Harris on this subject years ago on the Planet X radio show. And I just said, look, what you're suggesting is essentially you're forcing a balance, and what you're doing will cause terrible resentment. It'll cause terrible divisions within people, and it'll do what this happens wherever feminism and wokeness goes. It leaves a trail of destruction. It leaves a trail of broken, sad, angry people. And no, we don't want that in ufology. The Illuminati are basically putting it out everywhere to mess with our heads. I mean, feminism is essentially part of cultural Marxism, which is basically about taking over the world by controlling our minds. Shelley, oh dear, Zabel, he's going to start telling people white better wash alien feet. Oh, I think so, Shelley. I mean, obviously this is a film I haven't seen yet. He's just in pre-production with it, but it's going to be called, as the subtitle is going to be, what was it? In a world where everyone sees black and white, Betty and Barney Hill saw grey. That's very cringy, isn't it? And I got a feeling he's going to emphasise, because Betty and Barney Hill were an interracial couple, which was very rare in the US at the time. And they did get a whole lot of aggravation for it. I mean, in some states when they went on holiday places, they go on holiday to some areas, and their marriage was not recognised by law. And they couldn't book into hotel rooms together. They had to book into separate rooms in hotels and things like that. And so, yeah, I understand. Obviously, they had a lot of aggravation as a result of that. But these things are not really relevant to their UFO experiences, which is what I want to know about. They both came out, and it took a lot of guts to do that. They both decided to speak openly about their abduction experience, and they became the first people in the world, actually, where their abduction experience was publicised. They weren't the first abductees. There were many before then, but they first to go out now. But I don't want to watch a film about this, and instead just have this endless white guilt, damn narrative pummeled at me continuously. And I'd ask Bryce Zabel not to do that if he wants to make a good program. I'd ask him not to do that. I mean, it's just so damn common nowadays. It's everywhere. I mean, Zabel, of course, he's very high up in the movie industry. He may be just fitting in with what everyone's doing these days. It's like it just annoys me so much. It's like Margaret Atwood. I mean, everyone goes on about her saying, "Oh my goodness me, oh she's so edgy, she's so daring." She wrote The Handmaid's Tale. It's so edgy, man. She's so brave. It's so daring what she's done. And I look at that thinking, she writes a book about how evil white heterosexual Christian men are, and she thinks that's daring and that's edgy. It's the safest, most hackneyed, most damn unoriginal thing imaginable. It really is. Villanora, is there an LGQTIXNEPQ ufology group out there? Probably. Get woke, go broke, says Jock. Telling white they better. Yeah, it's going to be all about this. It's annoying because it messes with our minds. It makes us hate either ourselves or other people. I don't know which is worse. Actually, I don't know which is worse. Mr. Magix, hello. I used to respect Grant Cameron, but he's lost his filter, believing every bored housewife with a contact story. That's a slight exaggeration, Mr. Magix, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's fair, but he did come out with some. He does sometimes come out with, hang around with some strange people in that respect. Charles says Erica was blacklisted because she couldn't stop flirting, causing trouble with people's spouses. She's good, but she needs to cut out. Is that true? I'm not sorry. That's Charles. I hope that's not. I hope you got some evidence for that, because that's very serious. Erica was married to Richard Dolan. Richard Dolan now has a. I mean, she did briefly. She talked about her, about her what she did with Dolan. Tracy Garber is Dolan's current wife, and she's actually does. She did a very interesting talk at the not Awaken Aware, the thing in Manchester, where she talked about remote viewing. That was very interesting. TK, is having Amazon Prime mean, is it Illuminati controlled? Well, it's like everything else. Most 99% of it is rubbish. There's a couple of good things on it though. I mean, I get Amazon Prime normally because what was it I have? It comes as a package with something. I think it's my ISP. It comes as a package with the ISP I've got now. David Schultz, did you ever pick up the book The Field Guide to Extraterrestrials by Patrick Hugh? And did you ever view the movie The Brother from Another Planet? I got given that book, I think, by Truth Seekers Northeast. I've never seen the film. I never actually read that. I didn't have a chance to read the book properly yet. Now, where are we now? All right, yeah. Someone says here, Richard Dolan lost his mother. She passed away, says Redcap Goblin. That could explain Redcap, his attitude. I mean, obviously, like, this is going to have some kind of effect on him, and maybe he is suffering from grief. TK says, is it okay to support Amazon Prime? I mean, TK, I don't actually pay for Amazon Prime. It comes as a package with my ISP. I've never bought Amazon Prime. Jock adds to the Dolan thing. You can't blame him for being slightly morose and pessimistic for a while. Correct, Jock. I should actually bear that in mind. Shelley says Richard just gets bored. It's not a corruption issue. Is this Sir Richard Dolan, Shelley? Do you think he's bored? I think he's obviously upset, Give him a break, Ben, says Jock. All right, I will, Jock, yeah. I will. David Wilcox got a video out that's 5 hours. Tessa1111. Hello, Tessa. How are you? David says, David Splendid Isolation. David Wilcox is the spitting image of Eddie Casey and the claim he's reincarnation thereof. Is that Wilcox? Yes, he does sort of. I remember him saying stuff about that. Yeah. Pookie Nana, Betty and Barney. That sounds like the Flintstones. Oh, they were, wasn't it? They was Barney and Betty. Yeah, it's actually they were the Flintstones. Yeah, but they were. Betty and Barney Hill. They were driving. Betty and Barney Hill. It's an amazing story. Kathleen Marden. That's Betty Hill's niece. She wrote a book with Friedman about it, and there's a film actually called The UFO Incident. It's pretty good actually. What's the name of the guy who plays Betty? The guy with the voice, the deep voice. But he just plays Barney. He plays Barney. It'll come to me in a minute. But there's this. But it's really quite good. But they're just driving along, and they have this missing time, see things and stuff like that. Oh. Charles Unleashed. I'd make a terrible racist in real life. My hair is down to my shoulders. I hate conflict, and my wife is black. But I think that lets you off the hook there, Charles. But you never know nowadays, do you? Tessa says they've made the TV movie about Betty and Barney Hill. Is James Earl Jones? Is this the actor with the amazing voice? Who's Darth Vader's voice, who plays Barney? And it's called The UFO Event or The UFO Incident, and it's very good. It's on YouTube. It's quite a poor quality copy, but it is on YouTube. Tessa111. The Hills were so abused after telling their story. God, they were, weren't they? Yeah. The woke tards, says Michael Snow, yeah. Oh, they got called all kinds of names. Their psychologist had a go at them. It's like you want to say, well, why? You know, the skeptics say they made it up. They just made it up to make money and get publicity. Well, what? It doesn't make sense. Charles unleashes Karen was married to Richard. All right, it's the other. Richard wasn't married to Karen. Karen was married to Richard. Welsh Ripper says, Ben, you seen the Penturk UFO incident documentary special? It's new. No, is that? I mean, there are many videos about it. I mean, I made one myself. In fact, I've made 3. But I didn't know there was a documentary, the Penturk UFO incident documentary. I'm keen to see that. Right, it's on YouTube, the Penturk incident UFO. There's one. The one I recommend, let's have a look. All right, I'll find it. The one I do recommend very much is there's a whole series by Gary Jones, which I recommend. I think are very good. Villain's talking about Prime. TK and Villain are talking about Amazon Prime. Oh my God. What's the time? I'm gonna. Yeah, James Earl Jones. That's it, isn't it? Yeah. Villanora, there's no such thing as Nibiru. Absolutely no. Tessa says the Chinese rocket landed in the Indian Ocean. I'm doing well, thank you. But oh right, that's so. Hopefully it didn't hit anyone near the Maldives. Oh right, not on the Maldives. TK, I don't have an Amex card. Zoadar says major explosion in the headquarters of Bernese Army right now. What is there? It'll be in the news. Is this breaking news? Oh, there's stuff about the election here. Nothing about any explosion. Redcap says it wouldn't take too much to stimulate me online. Skeptical, empathic, jackass. Burmese. The Burmese in the Burmese army. Oh, there's terrible things going on there, aren't there? Myanmar, it's called now. Where are we now? Charles says the Hill story only became an abduction years later when people used them to sell books. Originally, they described men in Nazi uniforms, probably a KKK incident. Oh, I've not heard that. I've not heard that element to it, Charles. But all right, Welsh Ripper. I do recommend Gary Jones's stuff. Red Cap Cobbler. The amount of groups claiming ascended alien contact guidance is ridiculous. Just raise your vibration with love, guys. Charles unleashed the hills we used to sell books. Oh goodness me! It seems ufology is populated by these. It's like a kind of like a inferno of hell with a fence around it. None but devils may pass. Charles, I'll say more about this in the upcoming comments reply video. I really will. Tessa mentions that Betty Hill drew a star map. She did. That was very interesting. That's very rare in contactee cases. I know Carl Sagan said no, it's not really a star map. But do you want if I call it a day, guys? I'm getting tired now. I've been going for nearly 2 hours. But I want to say a big thank you to everyone: Shelley, Welsh Ripper, Villanora, Patrick Patel, Red Cap Goblin, Charles Unleashed, TK, and Charles. Yeah, I'll send you the links. Be sure to include them. I'll look at them, Charles. Yeah, by all means. But I'll mention them in my comments reply video. Yeah, Red Cat Goblin. Rest well, Ben. Be well, Charles. See you guys. All right. It's been great fun. We've had another really good live stream. Bye bye Shelley. Bye bye Michael. Thanks so on Earth. Get some sleep, love you, Charles. You too, Charles. You take care. And I will actually have a little nap. Yeah. Night night, Pookie Nana. Night night, Villanora. Good to see you again. Shelley, have a nice sleep. I will, Shelley. Thank you. Good night, Jock of Ages. All the best to you too. Night night, Tessa. Night night, TK. It's still a bit early to go to bed, but I think I'd do with a quick nap. I think I'm not myself. I didn't have a very good night's sleep last night, and all right. David Isolation is bringing up the star map thing. I've heard about that. Yeah. No, nice, David. David Splendid Isolation and David Schultz. Yeah, David Schultz. You got my email. Write to me about getting a book. I'll get you the book. Sign them for you. All right, David. I'll send them to you by all means. No extra cost. It's same price. Night night, Patrick Patel. You take care, everyone. Take it easy. Bye bye. And thanks everyone for watching the recording. If you are watching the recording.